Let's move on to this now. The Border Management Authority, or BMA, has uncovered a suspected human trafficking operation at Tambo International Airport. 14 Ethiopian nationals and 16 Bangladeshi nationals were stopped by immigration and border law enforcement officers are currently being processed. The BMA says Ethiopian Airlines will face a fine of 15,000 rand per passenger and will be responsible for returning the group to their countries of origin. BMA Assistant Deputy Commissioner Ramaphosa has urged airport authorities to strengthen document verification procedures to prevent similar incidents in the future.
The investigations are still ongoing now to look at whether there was consent in the traveling the country. We have 5 males that were in the first group of the Ethiopians, and we have 9 females. And in terms of investigations, we are now determining what was happening. But in the meantime, we need to process them, take their fingerprints, and ensure that once everything is concluded, they must be sent back to the place of origin. And you must know that the airline that brought them here, which is Ethiopian Airline, is responsible for transporting them back. But we are not only allowing that, we are fining that airline 15,000 per traveler. This is together with the Bangladeshis, the 16 Bangladeshis that arrived here with fraudulent visas. So they will all be deported once all the processes have been concluded.
Wow. So all of a sudden, the system in South Africa is really working again. I don't know what happened to the system, because previously we heard of so many bad stories from South Africa, and that was what even prompted Operation Dudula, Patriotic Alliance, and all other groups. But this time, it looks like they are setting up. What is happening in South Africa? But I'm hearing there is a local election. That's why the authorities are setting up like that. But I mean, whatever it is, I mean, that is what they're supposed to do. So they're only doing their duties. So Tambo has been able to detain 30 nationals. Now, these people were made up of 14 Ethiopian nationals and 16 Bangladeshi nationals. And these people were able to fly with fake visas all the way from their country into the Tambo International Airport. Unfortunately, at Tambo, they were intercepted by immigration and border law enforcement officers during routine checks at the Tambo Airport. And these people are being returned back. And Ethiopian Airlines has been fined 15,000 rand for each person they arrested. In addition, they're also supposed to return the people back to their destination. If today is your first time, my name is Kweku Africa. I tell this and bold stories that mainstream media will not tell you. If today is your first time, consider subscribing to the channel, comment, and share the video. Now, let's get into the video.
Guys, if you've enjoyed this video so far, please do me a huge favor and hit the like button and subscribe. These videos take quite a long time to make, so if you could help me out, I'll love you forever. Thank you all for your support. Now let's get back to this crazy story.
The Border Management Authority of South Africa has intercepted what they described as human trafficking operation at Tambo International Airport in South Africa. Now, in total, 30 foreign nationals were stopped, and these were made up of 14 Ethiopian nationals and 16 Bangladeshi nationals. Now, these people were intercepted by immigration and border law enforcement officers during routine checks. So, according to the Border Management Authority, the group is currently being processed as investigation continue into how these people entered the country and under what circumstances. Now, as it stands now, the Border Management Authority have pointed direct fingers at Ethiopian Airlines. Now, the Border Management Authorities are now blaming the Ethiopian Airlines for failing to do due diligence, because if they had conducted, solid checks, they would have realized that these people made up of Ethiopians and Bangladeshi carried fake documents, fake visas. But because they didn't do their due diligence, they allowed these people and they've flown them from where they are coming into South Africa. As a result, they have, placing a fine of 15,000 rands per person to Ethiopian Airlines. And in addition, they are also expected to carry the people back from where they brought them from into South Africa.
The investigations are still ongoing now to look at whether there was consent in the traveling the country. We have 5 males that were in the first group of the Ethiopians, and we have 9 females. And in terms of investigations, we are now determining what was happening. But in the meantime, we need to process them, take their fingerprints, and ensure that once everything is concluded, they must be sent back to the place of origin. And you must know that the airline that brought them here, which is Ethiopian Airline, is responsible for transporting them back. But we are not only allowing that, we are fining that airline 15,000 per traveler. This is together with the Bangladeshis, the 16 Bangladeshis that arrived here with fraudulent visas. So they will all be deported once all the processes have been concluded. This is now an eye-opener where we are now paying attention to all the group travelers that are coming in. We are also pleading with the airlines to say, can we just do due diligence in terms of checking the travelers' documents, because the Bangladeshis had fraudulent visas. So for them, for South Africa to determine the fraudulent documents here, when they have departed from a particular destination, it now puts fines to the airlines that transported them. And you'd remember that 15,000 per person who is found who needs to be deported. The airline must not only take them back, but they must pay the South African government that amount. So we are now looking at 15,000 times 30 of these travelers that were intercepted.
Now, let's pause for a second. So, if they are going to multiply, 15,000 rands per person to all the people they arrested, that is over 450,000 rands in penalties. And on top of that, the airline will fully be responsible for returning the passengers to their countries of origin. This is not just a punishment. This is a financial accountability on Ethiopian Airlines. Now, one thing this tells me is that, now, these days, the Border Management Authority in South Africa, they've opened their eyes wide, and in fact, they are really paying attention to details. They are not leaving any stone unturned. But South Africa, what has happened? There seems to be a dramatic change. All of a sudden, your laws are working. Authorities are all up and standing. The police is working. They are arresting people. So what is happening in South Africa now? Why didn't we see that previously? Now they've even taken over the job of Operation Dudula and Patriotic Alliance. They don't even have job again. So if your institutions were that effective, why weren't they, doing the job at first? Why? What is happening in South Africa? But I'm hearing that there is local elections coming on. That's why all of a sudden the authorities are effective. Everybody's playing his role. They are arresting illegal migrants. They are arresting, foreigners, companies who, employ foreigners and all of that. So that's what I'm hearing. But that's just by the side. So speaking on the matter, the Border Management Assistant Deputy Commissioner issued a clear warning. And according to her, airport authorities and airlines are going to tighten document verification procedures, stressing that which checks are exactly how trafficking network exploit systems. And so South Africa is now going to leave no stone unturned. Now, what does this story show us or tell us? So this incident highlights a bigger African and global problem. And you know what? Human trafficking does not always look dramatic. Sometimes they arrive quietly on commercial flights through legal airport with documents that almost look right. So when the system relaxes and you don't pay attention to details, then the people, they will flip through those tiny holes and then they'll go. And now South Africa is sending a strong warning that airports are not shortcuts, airlines are not exempt, and then human lives are not cargo. And so before you convey anybody into South Africa, you need to pay attention to tiny details. And now they are telling all the airlines that when you fly across the border, you inherit responsibility. So if an airline can verify payment, verify seating, luggage weight, and visa numbers, then why can't it verify human dignity before flying them? And what worries me most and saddens my heart is how many times these people have already gone without detection. How many times they've entered through similar routes without being detected. Because for every case we hear, there are others who pass through quietly, disappear into informal labor exploitation or modern slavery. And once that happens, no press statement can bring them back. no shouting and going blah, 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 media attention can bring these people back. And so South Africa is right to find these people, but fines alone are not enough. What we need is straighter airline accountability, shared intelligence across African borders, and real consequences when companies look away. That is what we need, because trafficking networks are organized. If government remain casual, they will always stay one step ahead. And so this incident should serve as a warning to every African airport that human trafficking is no longer sneaking through the bush. It is walking through international terminals in daylight. And so we all have to open our eyes. This is my take. My name is Kweku Africa, and it's a wrap for today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. It's a bye.